Hi there and welcome back to the channel. In this episode I'm on the Copper Coast in County Waterford. I hope to use the wildflowers along the cliffs as foreground as I seek to capture some of the sea stacks. I then move on to the old copper mines engine house at Pancratstown, where the place is just covered in wildflowers. I hope you'll join me along the journey and that this video will give you some motivation for getting out and shooting during the summer months. Well, they say a plan is not a plan unless it's adaptable. And for my first composition, I certainly have to adapt, because for whatever reason, my audio didn't transfer across to the video. So I climbed up the small hill from Kilfarracy car park into the fields along the cliff tops. Now, I wouldn't advise getting too near the edge because the erosion in this place means that you're not really sure what's underneath you. As I said in the introduction, the plan was to use the wildflowers that grow on the cliffs as my foreground, and my first composition involves the main island at the centre of Kilfarracy Beach, using these flowers as the foreground and the island itself as the main subject within the image. So here we are, a blend of two images, one at 1/250th of a second to keep the flowers in the foreground sharp, and the second one at 30 seconds using a 10-stop filter just to smooth out the sea and give the overall image a little bit more of an arty effect. I do like the lines of foam leading from the shore all the way out to the island. They act kind of as leading lines within the image. So, look, good start to the day. Following that shot, I just walked along the coastline for another 100 metres or so until I came across this sea stack here and some wildflowers, and again, this seemed to have a bit of potential. Okay, I think I've come across my favourite composition of the day. I really like the angle on the sea stack here, and then you have the mix of the thrift pink and the yellow flowers here as well. And what's really visible from this angle are the long streaks coming when the waves are hitting the rocks that are surrounding the stack. Now, unfortunately, I'm back in the wind again, and I hope you can actually hear the audio because I've just come out of the sheltered spot I was in, and it's really bad here again. So once again, I'm just following the same recipe as I did for the last one. So I've got 1/320th of a second to keep the flowers steady, and I've already taken that, and now I've put on the 6-stop filter. I've changed the focus out to the sea stack, and I'm getting, what am I getting? I'm getting 8 seconds here. So out we go for my 8-second exposure. And again, you know, it's totally your own preference. Some people may not like the long exposure on the water. I tend to. I think the choppy seas tend to distract away from the main subject of the sea stack and the rocks. And I think it looks well with a longer exposure. So there's not much more further I can go along here. Gets a bit barren as I go up, but I will walk another little bit up and see if I can find one more composition before I head back. I have to admit, I really do like this one. I think it's the mix of the different colours of wildflowers in the foreground and the colour of the sea then permeated with the white streaks caused by the long exposure of the waves hitting the rocks. Overall, I think the sea is complemented by the colours in the sky. Now, it is subdued, but I think it really matches the sea. So all in all, happy enough with this one. So I walked a bit further along the coast, but I couldn't find another composition. So I decided to turn back as the weather was closing in anyway. Now, there's a saying in photography, never forget to look behind you. And as I was coming back to the car park, here's the scene that greeted me. The beach empty of people and a lovely sweep on the waves. I completely overlooked this composition on the way out, simply because I didn't look behind me. So it's a couple of days later, and you can see what a difference. It's beautiful now. It's a bit hazy and overcast. And I've just come up now as far as Tankerstown, the engine house at Tankerstown. And you may have seen this in my previous videos. But as you can see, the road here is just lined with the drift or sea pinks. And I'm just taking some handheld shots. There's no need for a tripod or anything. Just trying out different compositions, one side of the road, the other side of the road, just to see how I get on. And some fabulous lead-in lines there along here with the actual sea pink itself. It's actually fabulous. Problem is, it's a Sunday afternoon and there's a lot of traffic around. And running over and back and over and back. Here's my favourite from this series of shots. And it's not a banger, it's obviously very bright on a Sunday afternoon. But the sky is quite dramatic and the wildflowers on the side of the road are stunning. And it's certainly worth a shot anyway. So it's much quieter in here off of the road now, and it'll give me time to look around and try and find a nice composition amongst all of these flowers, that I can use them as a nice foreground with the actual engine house itself then in the background. So for my first composition, I've got about waist high, and although the place is covered in the drift, I'm going to use these yellow flowers, and there's some beautiful little purple ones there just beyond them in the foreground, and then it's layered then with the drift as it goes all the way up to the engine house itself. So because these are so close to me and the engine house is so far away, I've decided I'm going to focus stack. Now I'm at quite a fast shutter speed, so that should keep the flowers still. I'm at 1/320th of a second. So I'll just maybe focus stack here right in front of me, then in the middle ground, and then on the actual engine house itself. And that should get me away with that. Now one of the problems I'm having here is that the ground is really spongy. So I've got to be really careful that I'm not disturbing anything as I take the shot. I am not sure about this one. I think I might have tried to take on too much. There's too much distance between the near flowers and the engine house itself. Now as it transpired, I didn't use the photo stacked images, there was no need to, so this is just a one-off image. It's okay, but I don't think it really works. Okay, so that's it from here. I do like that purple flower sticking out a lot, so I think what I'll do is I'll get it as low as I can and try and bring it right up into front of the lens and still have the engine house in the background. So I'm going to go much lower this time. So I've got much lower now, and I've even spread out the legs of the tripod, one to get lower and two to give me more stability on the spongy grass. There's a purple flower, it's like a wild thistle, but it's not a thistle, and it's I suppose it's less than a metre from the front of the lens, and then way in the background then you have the engine house, which is it's about 150 metres, I'd say, from here. So down as low as I can. First shot is focusing on the little blue purple flower, and the second one on the engine house itself. Because there's a dip in the ground after this, I'm not getting as much of the middle ground as I was. I've just noticed one of the problems I'm hitting here is there's an odd car going up and down the road, and with the 2-second timer, when I press it and suddenly a car appears in the in the frame itself, but sure, look, we'll work through it. Happy enough with this one. I think it worked out much better than the previous one. Two shots here, one focused on the actual little purple flower in the foreground and the other then focused on the engine house itself. Now, one of the reasons I think this works better is that because of the low angle, I'm losing a lot of the midground, and it compresses the photograph that little bit more and brings the engine house closer to the flowers itself. And the other one, I think it was just too spread out. Right, I think I'll keep moving, I'll keep on the move, and I'll try and get a few more. Thankfully the sun has got in, so that heavy glare that was there has left it, and the light is kind of flat, but it's not much nicer now than having that glare. Okay, so I'm down on the hands and knees again, and this time there's some grass, some wild grass, plus the flowers in front of me, and I'm shooting through it, and I'm hoping that the grass will go up through the actual building itself. So again, I do need to focus stack because the grass is only what, I'd say it's only half a metre in front of me. So a couple of different focus points and blend them all together later then. 2-second timer, and away we go. Right, I'll have to do that one again anyway, because the big white van just went up the road. So, there we go. And finally now the last one back on the engine house itself. Yeah, I think this one worked out quite well. Lovely colour in the foreground, and then a nice sky and the engine house itself in the background. Now, what I've come to notice as I'm processing through these, that the nicer shots are the ones where the foreground is very close to the lens. When I was trying to take the wider picture of all the flowers, it didn't really work. But the ones that have some of the wildflowers within half a metre or so of the lens and focus stack, they seem to have turned out the best. So I've had a little scout around the area, and I think I've come to probably the best composition for what I'm looking at. The entire cliff is lined with sea pinks, and it starts right down here in front of me and then curves up to the left and then comes back in a sea. And then up towards the actual copper mines engine house itself, you have these sporadic ditches with the drift on it as well. So it's looking really vibrant here. So I'm going to shoot in vertical, which is not something I do often. And then I'm going to take at least 4 or 5 different focus points in order to get everything sharp. So I'm going to work my way from the nearest up to the farthest, changing the focus point as I go. Okay, so that's 6 different focus points, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully that'll turn out nice. I'm really happy with the composition. I really hope this one works. Happy again with this one. Possibly not the great shot I thought when I was standing behind a tripod and you're looking at all these flowers in the foreground and going up the cliff. You tend to forget that, you know, the camera won't capture what your eyes see, or at least it won't capture it in the glory that your eyes see it. But overall, I think this is a nice image. So thank you for staying with me this far. Before I finish up, here's a short slideshow of the images captured over the couple of days on the Copper Coast. So that's it from me at the Copper Coast. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like or a comment below. It does help YouTube to spread around the video a little bit more, and that then will help me to develop the channel. I hope this gave you some ideas that you can use in your own photography. So until next time, stay safe and bye for now.